right. Well, let's go to our guest line. Let's bring in the new Auburn head basketball coach, former ESPN comrade with our friend Adrian Branch at ESPN. Coach Pearl, how are we doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. Well, before we get started, I have to send you a message from the owner where we broadcast here at Smoke on the Water in Greenville, a Tennessee grad that just told me to tell you he will always miss you in Knoxville. And when your sponsor asks you to deliver a message, you do that. You know what I mean?
That's smart. That's good. That's straight up good business. So
That's
I would imagine Smoke on the Water's got a little Tennessee orange, a little Clemson orange, a little Auburn orange.
Absolutely. And let's talk about this and your move back to the head coaching position. What was it that made you miss coaching at this level? And then number two, what attracted you to Auburn? Because right now, between you and Gus Malzahn, that's a who's who of coaching down there on the Plains.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I could be in Gus Malzahn's class, but it was the Auburn family. This is a really tight community. Auburn wanted me to join their family, and they made it known. I think that I like the SEC. It mattered to me to try to help the SEC become better in college basketball, and the fact that they've not been to the NCAA tournament in the last 10 years, it's a challenge, and it's a football school. It always will be, and but we just got to bring our men's basketball program up to a level of relevance in the upper division of the SEC.
Coach Pearl, Price Atkinson sitting in with Mark Sturgis tonight. Let me just first say, especially for Mark being an Alabama grad, myself being a Kentucky grad, we're SEC to the core. But welcome back to the Southeastern Conference. College basketball and SEC basketball is not just good, it's great with you back in the league. Both of us are incredibly excited to see you back on the sidelines at Auburn this coming season. I know you're fired up, trying to get things off the ground. You know, you kind of hit on a few of those things right there, talking about taking the Auburn job. You know, did you see some parallels, obviously being a football school, but did you see some parallels to the Auburn job from being at Tennessee? And, you know, was it really a chance to come back into the SEC that played a big factor in you taking the position?
Yeah, I mean, the SEC was a factor. The fact that they're really good in everything, football and men's and women's sports, there's a commitment here. The fact that it's a college town, the fact that it's not a huge place, I think was something that my family could enjoy and put their arms around. So there were just a lot of factors. It felt right. I wasn't sure if this was the right time because of my show cause, but I did very much feel strongly that this was the right place.
Well, and one of the things I've always thought that, at Auburn, obviously they love their football, but they obviously have made a commitment to basketball now with Auburn Arena opened in 2010, an absolutely gorgeous 9,000-seat-plus arena, practice facility, coach's office. You've got an incredible product and the resources on campus there to be successful right away.
Well, I don't know how successful we'll be right away. I do know that we're going to build a strong foundation. We got a lot of work to do with our current players training and working at a different level, and that's something that we're working on right now. We've got to recruit and continue to attract players that can get us into the upper division. I have no doubt that we'll compete for championships. I just don't know how soon it's going to be. And I can tell you, I'm not looking forward to bringing my team to Clemson next year. I only had one game on the schedule. I got a lot of scheduling to do, but one of them, it's at Clemson.
That's right. And you come up here for Little John's final season as Clemson will be doing in 2 years what Auburn has just recently done, which is build a new arena. Now, Coach, I'm personally going to miss you on television because I thought you did a fantastic job partnering with all the guys at ESPN and the experts. And like I mentioned, our friend Adrian Branch, Anish Shroff, all those guys, y'all do awesome. But what did you notice in your time away from the game that, A, disturbs you about college basketball, and B, on the flip side, caught your attention in a positive manner?
Well, I just think that the issue with I just think a lot of coaches, a lot of what everybody runs seems to be the similar stuff, and I'd like to try to be a little different as far as what we run. The second thing that disturbs me a little bit is, the way they've changed the hand check rule. It's made it difficult to keep people out of the lane, and so what coaches have done, the adjustment that they've made, is that they're simply just forcing the action, and kids are being taught to just put their head down and go. I think that's an issue, but that's the way it is. That's the rules. We see it now.
Coach Pearl, you're obviously going to enhance and help the Southeastern Conference being back in the game. You're just exciting, fun brand of basketball that your teams played when you were in Wisconsin and then when you're at Tennessee, and even going back to your Southern Indiana days. But, what is it that the SEC needs to do? They've instituted some things with Mark Whitworth at the conference office to try and strengthen the league. What does the SEC need to do as a whole to continue to try and strive and get better as a whole in college basketball?
Well, the bottom of the league is going to come up. There's nothing wrong with Kentucky and Florida. Tennessee's got it going on. But the bottom of the league, the middle of the league, I think is still strong. But what's happening to those of us that are at the bottom, like Auburn? And we've got to step our games up if we're going to be able to, if the league's going to get better. Hey, listen, a great league, you need strength at the top, but you need strength throughout. I think the second thing is we suffer a little bit from an image problem. We suffer from a branding problem. In other words, the SEC is undefeated in the NCAA tournament this year. And, when you talk about SEC defenses in football, you talk about size, speed, athleticism, toughness. Well, if you look at Kentucky, Florida, and Tennessee, those are the biggest, baddest, strongest, most athletic, intimidating teams in the NCAA tournament. You can't tell me another team that is bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic, and better defensive-minded than those three clubs. And yet, we're not talking about it. We're just not talking about it. And, you understand the way those teams are built, how hard they play, how physical they are? Well, that was a positive for SEC football, SEC defenses. Why isn't it a positive as far as SEC basketball? And I think these teams that are in the tournament right now, they're giving us something to talk about.
We've got Coach Bruce Pearl, the brand new Auburn University basketball coach, joining us right now. And let me ask you, Coach, you took 4 of your Tennessee teams to the Sweet 16 when you were in Knoxville. With the Sweet 16 getting underway tomorrow night, coming out of that first weekend of the tournament, having experience in the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 for that matter, what's it like trying to transition your team from preparing for the first weekend of the season? Now you've advanced and moved to the Sweet 16. What are these challenges like for some of the teams and schools to get ready for this next weekend of basketball?
Well, it's the same deal. There are 4 teams in a tournament, and the team just got better. So for example, for Tennessee, their tournament last week was Duke, Mercer, UMass, and Tennessee. Well, the teams this year are Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan, and Tennessee. That's the pod. That's the tournament. And all you're trying to do is win 2 games to get to the Final Four. You just got to win 2 games. So make a big tournament, make it really small. And the way you make it small is just focus on that task ahead. And you don't need to win. You don't need to win 4 games right now to win a national championship. You just need to win 2 games and to be able to advance out of your pod. And that's what you got to focus on.
All right, Coach Pearl, final question before we let you go. If we can maybe get you to put your analyst hat back on for a second. You mentioned Auburn comes here next year to Clemson for the final year of Littlejohn Coliseum after the Tigers lost to the Auburn Tigers by 2 on the Plains this year. What is your thoughts on Coach Brad Brownell and Clemson as now they advance to next week's Final Four, the NIT semifinals in Madison Square Garden?
Brad Brownell has always been one of the best young coaches in the country. He still is. And I've got a lot of friends in Greenville and a lot of friends in that part of the country. And I've been telling them for years, this guy can flat out coach. His teams play hard. They run great stuff. It's hard to guard. That he's recruited good players. And so this is just enjoy this. enjoy this team and enjoy this coach because he honors the game with the way his teams play, and he's going to be very, very, very tough to beat next year.
Well, Coach Pearl, thank you. We know it's been a whirlwind for you over the last week, and you got a great staff there with your sports information department at Auburn. And if you do get up to see any of these friends in Greenville, please, we've got you covered at Smoke on the Water. As we mentioned, Mike Schuler, the owner, a huge fan of yours. We'll take great care of you right here at Smoke on the Water.
Okay, I promise we will stop in and we'll look forward to celebrating with y'all.
All right. Thank you much, Coach Pearl. Best of luck. Thank you, Coach. All right. Sorry, I had to do a little mixing there, so I cut your mic off for a second. We're rocking here and Smoke on the Water. All right, let's just shut the show down.
Well, you know what?
You can tell he's going 100 miles an hour because I believe he's kind of leaving Auburn to go back and do some analyst work this week on the Sweet 16. He's already been conducting one-on-one sessions with his players that are returning to Auburn next year.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that's got a lot going on, and really, I mean, just honestly, he's probably not still listening. If he is, Coach Pearl, thank you for joining us. What a treat. But, I mean, he has got 5 a.m. workouts going on with his team right now. Like you said, he's still got some ESPN work he's doing, kind of finishing out the season with them. I heard just today, actually, that recently, within the last month, he raised, I believe it was about $1 million for the Tennessee Children's Hospital, I believe, back in Knoxville. Incredibly active in his charities that he still is active with in Knoxville, trying to find his wife, Randy, trying to find a house there for him in Auburn. But he's got a lot of irons in the fire right now, trying to, get his program up to speed. And, he mentioned the show cause where he's not able to get off campus and recruit until August
23rd, I think, is when it rolls off.
So he's out trying to sell the Auburn program, the brand, in any way he can. Anybody that will listen, our show, TV, appearances, he's doing what he can to get his hands on this program and sell his vision of the program.
Because listen, Auburn, I don't want to say backed in to Coach Bruce Pearl because they identified him, obviously, a couple of months ago. And then not only identified him, Jay Jacobs, their athletic director, went out and got him. He knew that there was I don't want to call it baggage, because when I think of the grand scheme of things as far as NCAA violations, having a cookout at your house is not the biggest thing because you had the guys on campus anyway. What you did is you made a major mistake and you lied about it when they had the goods on you. Boom, you can't do that. There's two people you can't lie to, the feds and the NCAA, if they have the goods on you. I'm glad Bruce Pearl's back in basketball because the game is better with him in it.